Hi everyone and welcome to this week's Monday Memo. Today I'd like to talk about leadership because in finance and accounting at some point most of us are going to be asked to assume a leadership position, whether that's via promotion, a change in responsibilities, or we just happen to be the most senior person around and just someone that the rest of the team, our peers, look up to provide guidance and support. So the first thing when you become a leader is, I'd say well done, great stuff. You should really give yourself a pat on the back for earning that position. But what next? What should we be doing to build influence that leadership position offers us? And how soon, should we be looking to make an impact? Because like when I became a leader for the first time, I didn't have much of a plan. Can't say I really had a clue about what that really meant, being a leader. And after all, it wasn't really something that was discussed when I was training to be an accountant. So for the next few minutes, I just want to share some thoughts that I've gathered when reflecting back, taking on those leadership roles. And I sort of distilled it into a number of key areas. The first thing, and I think a lot of us appreciate this, is building credibility quickly with the board, our peers and team. So ways to do that is really demonstrating that we can lead, we can collaborate. One of the fundamentals we tend to do very well in finance is turning data into strategy. I think in these modern days, it's very important to have an international perspective and outlook on how we can foster growth. And a key thing from a people perspective is also nowadays in acknowledging diversity in the room and tapping into that, because I believe that then does drive probably more creative and more balanced discussions in terms of what to do next. And as those insights then come out, it's being a great communicator of that vision. But before you can even start taking steps towards that vision, one quick way of building credibility is to look for the quick wins or quick results, particularly around cash and margin, the things that people really notice. And, typically when you assume a leadership role, probably what's been going on before, people have been used to doing it in that way. It's the way we've always done it around here. So things that might seem basic to you could have just been overlooked or just not on people's focus, that area of attention. So things like working capital, understanding the various ratios, there is often where I find there's quick wins. And as part of that, I always conduct a strategic vendor analysis to see who our main suppliers are and either try and meet with them or look at if there's a way of maybe standardizing or making consistent some of the payment terms. It's amazing how often we can actually be paying suppliers too fast, and likewise for customers on the debtor side, not chasing up or keeping up on top of them to pay and understanding what they're going through. And then once we probably looked at working capital, I always encourage understanding who are our most profitable customers, understanding what's driving that, why is that the case, and what we can do to maintain and build on that. So once you've gone through building credibility, the next thing is understanding and navigating the culture, because in some organizations either finance is on the inside or it's on the outside. One is not actually easier than the other one, because when you're on the inside, or when finance is on the inside, the expectations tend to be a bit higher. So that means that you're going to probably have to start delivering much more quickly. And that's the type of business partner folks are expecting. When you're on the outside, the expectations tend to be lower, but you're going to have to start delivering at some point, because otherwise there won't be any business. So in those instances, it's really about engaging and understanding stakeholders, what it is that they have, what it is that they want, that lead to opportunities, go and create and capture value. So walking the floor, meeting customers, understanding what the investors and board want. The gap between the have and want is a problem to go solve. And when you start solving those problems, you're adding value, and it feeds back into the first point of building credibility. And that culture doesn't just extend to senior management or your peers, also extends to your team. So very important to understand what everyone around you has and what they want, and figuring out how to tackle those have-want gaps. One of the challenges of being a leader, and it leads into the next point, is being able to understand all of this, but also continuing to deliver BAU, business as usual. You're not going to have much chance of delivering on your vision if you haven't got the strong fundamentals to do so. So you're still going to have to be able to close the books, making sure that you're getting meaningful reports and analysis out, making sure that any external facing financial statements are fully compliant with the generally accepted accounting principles, of various regulations that the company must meet because of the industry it operates in, and of course passing the audit. So we can't overlook business as usual. So once you've started building the credibility, understanding the culture, how to navigate it, and also delivering the BAU, one of my favourite pieces is actually engaging in those conversations, fleshing out what those opportunities mean, is then crafting the story around that. And that simply involves just being able to collect the necessary data to report and analyse, building some good understanding of what's happening so you can then translate it into what the implications are, to evolve perhaps some options, and to then go deploy and put into action your recommendations so the company can not only just preserve value but go and create and capture it. And actually those are the last steps, the translating and understanding what the implications are, evolving options, and then deploying, doing something about it, is really what separates the best leaders in finance and accounting from those that tend not to have the more enjoyable and fun times when it becomes being a leader. And that goes for times when perhaps you might have to deliver bad news. Sometimes when you come into a new role in those first 90 days, you might actually uncover some bad news. Perfect time to get it out, and you have to address those problems head on, because integrity is a key element of being in finance. It's part of our training, and it's part of what the business looks us to be, is to have those hard conversations when we have to. So look, I really hope you enjoyed those insights. I'd be curious to know if you've got your own sort of tips and ideas on what things we should be doing when we become leaders. Particularly for those starting out first time, can be quite daunting, and it would always be helpful if you can sort of hit the ground with a bit of an idea of what that looks like. And that's why we bring guest mentors on the show, to share with you their sort of hard-won lessons, what works, what doesn't when it comes to taking on leadership roles. So you get a sense of what's happening, and it becomes a bit little less scary when you embark on that journey. So look, really appreciate you listening in today, investing your time with us on the show. And until next time, take care of yourselves, and let's keep on building our strength in the numbers.